Hello and welcome to the third edition of the PSD podcast. This is the 2058 AL preview. I am your host, Ryan, or the Montreal GM, and I am joined by two very special guests. We have John, or Portland's GM, and we have Will, or the Kansas City rebuild architect, with me. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Are you ready to discuss the state of the American League?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know you both have studied for hours preparing for the podcast, and I know that you're ready to break down these teams.
I have studied for many hours. Probably
Many
zero.
Many hours?
Yeah, no, many minutes.
Many minutes, many minutes, many minutes. Well, without further ado, I feel like we should start with the team that represented the American League last season, and that's the Baltimore Orioles, because you start with the proven success and you move from there. So where do we want to start? Where do we want to begin talking about the Orioles? What is going to be the key for them as we look towards this season and their title chances?
I think it's their rotation.
Yep.
Once again.
And
say the same thing.
And yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. You have somebody like Lonnie Nelson, who has carried the rotation for basically 2 years, and he's declining pretty rapidly. If we just look at his scouting trends, I mean, that's
big drop off. Big drop off from 56 to 57. Even.
Big drop off from 56 to 57.
That stuff drop.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, still has a ton of money on the contract. I think he would be an idiot to opt out of it, to be honest with you. So that's going to be something to watch. I know that when Paul was talking about his team during the playoffs last season, he was saying, he thought that was his best shot. So I'm kind of interested to see. So we briefly touched on Nelson. We're talking about Gweither now. Is he a guy that you could see? He had a pretty decent. He was really good when he played last season, but he could not stay on the field. So, and that's another $25 million he has committed to a starter. So, do you think that kind of high priced rotation could be a problem for the Orioles this season?
I mean, it's just this season, but in the future he's screwed. So, it's win now.
Yeah. For example, he's age 30 season, so he's 234 35. But he signed till he's 36 at $25 million a pop, and he's correct.
It definitely is a win now kind of deal, and he does have, to Paul's credit, he has some of these younger guys coming up. You look at Rusty Davis, another really talented lefty. You look at Garcia, another guy who's a little bit younger, a little bit cheaper. But the real question is, oh, hello.
Hey, it's me, Tim. I just want to mention that Paul has a lot of money locked up in future years. I don't know if you guys have looked at that so far, but yeah, dude, $200 million scheduled for next year, and $198 million. And these aren't counting our rates, by the way. That's a lot of money for a team with a $170 million budget right now.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. But so,
even his number one there, Lonnie Nelson, is age 35 season, so he signed till he's 36, 37, 38, because he's going to trigger that player option. That's $37 million there. So that's $62 million on the first two starters, which are good but blinding.
Absolutely. So personally, I think that the strength of this team comes obviously from their high-powered offense, and specifically from possibly the second coming of River Walderson in Jose Vela, because he is just an absolute stud. I don't think he had the season that I was expecting of him last year. I think he can do even more. I mean, if you just look at his ratings, the fact that he's a lefty who just absolutely destroys right-handed pitching. I mean, he destroyed my pitching. So whenever I saw he was up, I was like, this is not the man I want to see in the box. I don't know what you guys think about Vela.
I just think last year is probably his floor as a first baseman. I think he's got a good shot at winning a Silver Slugger this upcoming season. Maybe even
he has a shot at MVP.
Yeah.
He's better than River Walderson versus the righties. So I mean, if he keeps up throughout a season, he'll definitely win an MVP at some point.
John, anything to add?
Yeah, you got to think as a fly ball pull hitter, he's going to pop more than 28 home runs.
Absolutely. And
You know, so, yeah.
Ryan, go back
Yeah,
to his
yeah.
rating screen real quick.
okay, I'll go back. Yep.
So if we compare River Walderson versus Vela here, River Walderson's at a 93 and Vela's at an 88. And these are versus the righty. River Walderson at a 99. Oh, you went away from
Oh,
it.
I'm gonna actually just pull up the compare screen so it's easier for
I know.
people to follow.
All right. Yeah, 82 to 99. The 8 more home run power is definitely big, and then but like look at that, 20 more points versus the righty. Like in like that's massive, and that definitely makes up for the 5 contact points that River Walderson has. So, I mean, if you compare the two, Vela's going to be right along his footsteps, honestly.
They do look like very similar players. I mean, really, the major difference is the contact versus left-handed pitching, but that's, like you said, I think it's more than made up for in the additional gap power versus righties, and the 107 versus right-handed pitching is insane. He has no weakness. Yeah. He has no weakness against
and
righties.
He could still play versus the lefty. I mean, it's not the best, but it could happen.
It could happen. So, anybody else on the Orioles that interests you, that jumps out to you, that you want to talk about?
Oh, go ahead.
If nobody has one, I want to talk about.
No, I was just looking at him. That Tojal looks interesting, actually.
He's somebody that I always thought could be better than he has been. I mean, he was really bad. I mean, he's obviously defensively, he's going to get a lot of value defensively, and that's why you see the wins above replacement at 2.5 with a below league average OPS. But
he's also really fast. He should steal a lot more bases instead of being stayed put at first base every time.
What was it?
0 stolen bases with 100 speed. Like, what is he even doing?
And that could be a slider from Paul, and maybe he has the game strategy set in a way that he doesn't like his players stealing.
Well, also something with the stolen base setting in the league itself. We noticed going back about 10 years. After that, they kind of dropped quite a bit off, and unless you have into the high 90s for stealing, you get caught quite a bit. Whereas Marshall, who had 100 in stealing, even when he went under 50 speed, he was still getting his 15, 20 steals a year and only getting caught once or twice. So, I'm looking at Tojal, and it's, he was slightly, 103 OPS plus and 56, slightly below average, 96 OPS plus. You'd like to see him take another step. So, I mean, I think he's a guy to watch.
At the end of the day, though, I mean, I do think that Baltimore's chances are going to come down to how good is that rotation that is kind of aging out of the league a little bit, and will the batting be enough to kind of carry them? Because I think it is a really solid offensive team, and they have proven it in the past, with the rotation. But it's just a question of, is guys getting older, is that going to be enough to sink them, or getting injured possibly?
They're definitely a playoff
Paul has an
team,
illegal contract, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Elijah Thompson, he has a team option in the second to last year of his deal.
Oh no, wow. Breaking news on the podcast. An illegal contract has been found. Unbelievable. Wow.
$16.4 million contract, Paul, and you're gonna catch a warning for it. Man.
Although
Yeah, it's on the bottom of the Stats Plus homepage, so
Player option after a team option.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't be doing that.
That's a PSD no. Come on, Paul. Do better.
All right, sorry about that. Go ahead, Bill. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but...
I completely lost my train of thought. Who are we on again?
Tohall? Are you guys still talking about him?
Oh, yeah. Tohall, he needs to steal more bases. I think Baltimore's a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to go all the way.
So you think they cannot repeat as the representative of the American League?
They're not repeating.
Okay.
There's so many good teams on the come up in the AL. I don't think.
Yeah.
Including yours, obviously.
I mean, I've made some additions, and my players are no longer the youngest team in the MLB.
No longer. No longer.
And one interesting concern I saw was I was looking at the Stokes that he has at shortstop. The guy has like a 45 arm.
And that was something.
You're probably a
So-
second baseman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the game still rates him so highly, even though, you can't have a shortstop that can't, that can't throw.
Probably because of his range.
And his really high error rating. But let's move on to another team. Let's talk about who else do you think is in contention for the World Series from the American League?
Chicago.
Let's talk about Chicago, the White Sox. Whew, this is a good team.
You can't look at that team without saying, "Oh, Robbie White is just gonna go off every single year."
Yeah, I mean, except for last year, apparently. Then you can say he did go off.
It was a fluke, but he was still a 4-win player.
Yeah. But he's also still being paid $50 million, so the expectations are a little higher. You can't be a 4-win player if you're being paid $50 million, because then you're just not providing the value. That deal makes sense when he's putting up 7, 8, 9 wins, but when he's putting up 4 wins, I don't know. I don't have many bad things to say about Robbie White. He was the clear 101 in 2049, and he has proven his value beyond a shadow of a doubt. But who else?
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue that.
Hard.
What can you say? His defense isn't so great. That's about anymore. That's about it.
I
'cause
mean,
he still hits a ton.
He has the best middle infield defense in the league. Like,
Oh,
by
absolutely.
far, like, it's not even close. Like,
It's
113 at second base and 116 at. When was the last time you found a shortstop that was better fielding at shortstop than he is than what you got at second base? I mean,
Yeah.
But the only
you don't. Go ahead.
well, I'm just to your point, Tim. Like, absolutely. But the only problem I have is both of those guys are massive sucks offensively. Like, they both are just. I mean, I know you love Rapton, but I just think that he's not. He's good in his role, but I don't think he can actually contribute offensively to a team. And so you have
Look
two.
at his on base.
I know some people don't like WAR, but just look at it for once. 27 WAR in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 seasons. 27 WAR. That's 3 WAR a season out of your second baseman minimum. That's not bad. Even from a guy who bats 217. You don't need like, philosophically, like, you would rather have the defense in second base than having an offensive force. At least to my philosophy. I mean, it's still an up the middle position. It's not like he's playing first out here.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at his last 4 years, it's 391, 350, 381, 360 on base. Just
right.
put him at the top of the order.
Yeah, seriously, 360 on base, and he can steal what? How many bags does he steal a year? He steals 40 bags a year, easy.
Yeah.
I would take him. I
Even
would take
then,
him
he
over my
doesn't
current
strike out.
my current middle infield, both of them.
Except
If
for
you were
the
to swap.
the key point you're missing here, Tim, is that he is wrecked, and I think betting anything on a guy who has the injury history, who can just instantly be gone for the entire season. Obviously, it can happen to any player, but you run even more of a risk when you're betting on injury-prone players to carry the team in that kind of way, because you can't replace this. You can't replace what he does.
Gio's not gonna carry your team, but he's gonna be a fine second baseman. I mean, and Peor is the one that needs to be more offensively minded. It's not Gio. Gio has done his job for the White Sox, and I think he's done what Bart has. He's hit for over 100 OPS plus, 2 times in his once in his career. That's damn good for him. That's super good for batting average with his type of defense. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's not going to be an offensive guy for anybody, but if you need the defense up the middle and you are a fan of on base, then shit, why not?
And a lot of teams need that.
Top of the order table setter.
Pretty much. He honestly should be worth more runs than what Bart's giving him. But he got hurt this last year. He scored 130 runs the year in 2056. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
That's a lot of runs, my guy.
That's a lot of runs.
Anything over 100 is nice, but 100 and I can't remember the last time I had a guy that scored 130 runs in a season.
Yeah, neither can I.
Not ribbies. I'm talking runs. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that's
well, again, my point is not to shit on the White Sox, because I do think this team is really, it's really interesting. There's a lot of different kinds of guys. I mean, if we look at Tim Estes, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but I mean, like, look. I mean, just look at this man's production for the White Sox. He's literally never
better and better and better.
Even in the MILB, he's never been. He's always been an above league average hitter, which is insane.
who?
The current first baseman for the White Sox.
Banjo.
Banjo. Yeah.
Oh, Estes.
And Daniels too. I mean, he has a bunch of guys that really complement each other well. I mean, I think to your point, Tim, yeah, he doesn't need Rapton to do it all, because all he needs him to do is get on base, and then the other guys behind him will plate him across. But I don't know. To me, the White Sox are probably the best team in their division. I don't see any reason as to why they shouldn't
They
win.
just picked up Sam Hawkins, right?
Hawkins is their
Yeah,
5.
Got Hawkins too.
Currently they're 5. I mean, I'm just quickly flipping through all their pitchers, but I can't see really a weak
No,
spot.
Hawkins is definitely their 3. Gibson and Gilmore are worse, but he just put them there to F with us.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Although
He's got a good set of starters though, for sure.
I mean, I haven't really looked at the bullpen, so maybe that's the area of weakness. But even still, I mean, Padilla might not be the.
It's not really a weakness, but
There's
really
not
a
much in the
strength.
bullpen. His closer is a 61 out of 61, so
I think it's a converted starter too.
yeah,
So-
he is.
yeah, yes.
All these guys are just starters that are in the bullpen.
Yeah.
essentially.
So I mean, if we're talking about a potential Achilles heel, maybe that's it. But even still, that kind of feels like a stretch, because like we were talking about, on the previous podcast, it doesn't matter if your bullpen sucks if your starters can win you every game, or if they can go 7 or 8 every time out. And I don't know if they can do that, but I mean, the White Sox, I feel like they have it set up to make a really big run.
Oh yeah. Good lord. Dude has a nice rotation sitting in his bullpen. Dia, Forbes, Moore.
Yeah.
It's probably a strategy if I had to guess, but yeah, he's gonna have to pay those guys at some point. They're
Yeah.
gonna want their money,
Oh yeah.
And
especially with the free pitches. Those guys tend to earn or ask for a little more.
That's why in some regards he's lucky Payor is only on a 1-year deal. That's $30 million that's locked up with him. So if he has to, he can at least, let Payor walk,
Mm-hmm.
and and use that to lock down some of his pitching.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, I feel like if we're just looking at the contract screen right now, it looks like he has at least 2, possibly 3-year window with all these same guys. He's only losing potentially four guys next season, and he probably still has the budget room to retain them if he would like to. So definitely an interesting team, definitely a team to look an eye on. What is the next team that we want to talk about?
We could go over the Expos.
We could go over the Expos, and
For sure,
I'm going to
great
sit
team.
back and relax.
Hold on. Are they a playoff team?
Yes.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me?
I mean, he will find a way to get them in the playoffs.
He's been trading everything.
And
And if you trade everything, you don't win games. So
still got some really good players on that team.
Well, I tell you, I liken it to the Patriots, where they'd say, "Well, geez, they lost so and so and so and so," and you got to pick them to make the playoffs until they don't.
I mean, I will let you guys. I'll let you guys argue, debate one way or the other. To me, I believe in the team. I believe in the trades, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to start playing the games.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is just giving you insight into my thought process. It's a different philosophy than any of the teams I've ran before. It's way more defensively focused, more focused on the pitching. Because I'm hoping that Vaughn can actually just come back and be the ace that he was before he was out for an entire season. Because he missed the entire season, and I think that was one of the big reasons we failed. I mean, this is a guy that you can count on to every single day. I mean, when he pitched the full season, he was a 5.5 win player, or 5.4 win player. Like he's a guy that will go out and win you games. And and having one of those guys, and then having a bunch of guys you can believe in as maybe 2, 3 type guys. I mean, I didn't think I needed Hawkins. That's the honest truth. That's why I traded him, because I thought, Denton is going to be the next guy up, and I don't know. I think you have to trade people before they start sucking, because otherwise you just are left holding the bag on some shitty contracts. So
that's I can't remember if it was Parcells that said it or if it came out of baseball, but they said it's better to trade a player a year too early than a year too late.
Yeah.
that's just my thought process, Tim. But I
And
do want to hear you.
Denton's not even close though. Like, you're going to be rebuilding by the time Denton's ready.
I disagree. I disagree with that.
When do you think he's going to be ready? Like in the next 2 years? Because after that, you're going to be old and expensive.
I mean, you're only old and
He's-
expensive if you allow your team to get old and expensive. I mean,
Have you
that's.
seen how much money you have locked up long term?
I know who I have it locked up long term too. I mean, it's
I'm
Hollingsworth.
just looking at your salary page, dude. I mean, you
It's-
got a lot of money there.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely know that I do, but I also think you pair those guys with young, talented players, and that's how you supplement those salaries. You supplement those teams. It's no different than a guy going out and paying 50 mil for one guy. 50 mil for another guy on another team is a Romo and a Vaughn on my team. You know what I mean? I just don't see it as being too big of a deal. But I mean, only time will tell. That's the problem with this is I can't say, oh yeah, just trust me, it's gonna work, because until it works, like, there is going to be that inherent, could this work? I think it will. Obviously, I believe in my own team, but I can see why. It is a lot of money, and it's a lot of money locked up. But I'm hoping it's locked up in the right guys.
Yeah. I wouldn't talk about Denton in the current sense. That's just my first thing I gotta say, because he won't even be ready by next year, maybe the following.
Oh
And,
no,
I mean, it still may take him to March or to June. So
I'm honestly more talking about Hawkins, because Hawkins has been dropping movement. He dropped movement the entire last season. He was getting the shit beaten out of him in terms of how many home runs he was giving up, and that just won't work here. I mean, just in terms of like moving somebody before he goes and has like a 2-win season for me, like I can't wait for that to happen.
Now, I'd say the one caveat with Denton too is that both his movement and control are under 60. They're floating in the 50s. So, if a couple points get shaved off of that, he's not going to be successful. I used to have a guy like that where he's 120 something stuff and a couple pitches in the 90s, but his movement and control were only like in the low 50s. And he'd keep getting victimized by the long ball. Strike out a ton of dudes, wouldn't walk too many, but he'd get victimized by the long ball. So
Get a better park.
because he's got a 53 movement.
If only there was a way to build a new park.
There is a way to build a new park.
Well, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, if only.
If
Don,
only.
you had the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, I mean, I don't have any more to say about my team. I think we can be. The goal is always 90 wins, get in the playoffs. Anything can happen once you get in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's correct, dude.
And
I still don't think Denton's ready for Double A. If I'm reading that right.
dude,
I mean,
Rookie
disagree.
ball to Double A. Like, that
I
is one hell of a
Oh, he's
jump.
not ready for Double A. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's not ready for Double A.
Oh no, yeah, he's definitely not ready for Double A.
we'll
I don't
see.
even think he's ready for A plus, and there's not even a difference between A plus and A. So
We will see. We will see. I mean, I have my plan. If it doesn't work, it
You're
doesn't
about to
work.
ruin
But
that man.
I disagree.
It is interesting that it's
Hate
of
to
all
see it.
pitches to be fully developed, it's his changeup, and usually that's the last thing you see come in.
This game hates changeups.
Oh, it does.
So
it might kill Denton a little early just because he has a changeup. No, I'm joking.
But yeah, I mean, I think the East is wide open. I don't know what happened with Havana last year. I think we talked about Baltimore and how they could possibly not be legitimate, and then it's really a toss-up. I'm looking at these other teams. Were the Blue Jays legit? I think they probably were. They probably were closer than at least Ryan thought. But the division does not. There's no team that screams that's the best team in the division like the White Sox do in the West to me.
The Blue Jays, with the trades I made, have become, the Portland East After we got like Mario Gonzalez from me and Jeff Hood and all these other guys. So yeah, I know. I'm not sure where Gonzalez is pitching for him now, but
He's
yeah,
the ace.
could be.
He is
Yeah.
the ace.
Yeah, oh god, I'm still smirking over that one.
Well, what other teams in the AL do we want to talk about?
Did you guys talk about
Havana.
Havana already?
We have not talked about Havana.
So does Havana make the playoffs next year?
Yes,
Um,
they're too good not to.
I
I mean,
They
they
just
did
got
make it
really
last year.
unlucky.
I think they won't. And Chris, if you're listening, this is not me hating on your team. I just think the AL West is at this point in time a superior division to the AL East, and that wasn't always the
Well,
case.
Savannah
But
plays in the AL East.
but
So they
that
get to play against the AL East teams.
but they also get to
So-
they also have to play against the AL West teams. We played those teams. I don't know, Tim. You probably know the exact number. But we played those teams a ton of times.
Yeah, I think it's not exactly 20. I'm pretty sure it's 18. 18 in your division, and then either 8 or 9 against each one on outside of the division. I
And
haven't done the schedule analysis for this year, but that's what it was, or that's what it's been in previous years.
so sure, yeah, you can beat up on maybe the Yankees, the Tigers, the Red Sox of the world, but then you have to go and you have to play some really tough teams in the AL West. I mean, it's why I think interleague play has never gotten going, because you need to be able to play these teams and see how your guys roll out against some. I'm looking at the teams in the West, and there are really only. Even your team is trending towards competing sooner rather than later. Like, Jeremy's team is the only team that I think does not have at least aspirations to compete this year in the West, which is that's tough to go into and beat. And so I think that if you don't have a team that's ready for that, and I'm not saying,
dude, Kansas City's pretty booty.
Cra-
I mean, don't.
I'm not.
You can't-
I improved by
you can't say
15
Texas
games,
is-
and
you
then
can't
I
say Texas
improved
is
my
worse than
team
Kansas
again
City
in
right
free
now.
agency.
Oh, I
what'd you say?
absolutely
I-
can.
hold on. Wait, Ryan, one sec. Will, what'd you say?
All right, so 1, I improved my team by 15 games just this past season. 2, I made some free agent acquisitions that are really good. 3, my rookies from last year getting even better. Why is my team not trending upward?
No, you're trending
don't-
upwards, but I
we're-
think you're still in
we're
the
not
same
gonna be
spot
shit.
as Texas. Like, I don't think that
Oh, we're probably in
I-
the same spot as Texas.
I don't
'cause
think.
they
Well,
went
no. Ryan had said
80 and
that
82.
you could potentially be a playoff team, and that Texas.
Whoa,
isn't
whoa, whoa,
anywhere
whoa,
near.
whoa, 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 whoa! I did not say potential
didn't say
playoff team.
playoff team.
I just said it was a
What'd you say
hard.
then?
I said
I'm
it was.
talking-
It's a
I said
harder
he's
team to
talking
play.
like pushovers.
I'm saying, sorry to the Tigers GM, sorry to the Yankees. Those teams are easy wins, and I don't think you can bank those easy wins. That's all I was saying. Against a team like
sure.
Kansas City, you can't
Like,
bank
sure, you
it.
acquired your best hitter, Artie Henderson. Like, oh, dude, is a mess. He's a mess. Artie Henderson's trash. First of all, you acquired a 37-year-old Shiraku Otani. Okay, that's cool. He's a good player. Who else did you get?
I got
Jeff Holt.
Holt.
I still think he's a reliever, so we can move on from that one. I made my
Holt's a
case.
reliever? You're fucking nuts.
Oh,
Dude, I
he has talked about Holt being a reliever for a long time.
I've literally, I will live and die on that hill, over and over again. And I said this about, I'm pretty sure I maybe talked about it yesterday. I just don't like his pitch mix, and he's always underperformed for how much he's been paid.
Not for me though. I mean, if you look, 2055, you have 0.1 WAR, 128 ERA plus, 12 and 3.
And I have a
2056, he was
pitcher's ballpark. So
In 2056, that's what you should expect out of him every single year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Like, he should
Yeah.
expect that. But has he done that in his six and a quarter years at MLB? Has he put up that 141 ERA plus? No. And he sucked with me. He sucked in the big open ballpark with where a lot of home runs are given up.
I
And
don't
now he's
have a
going.
home run
I mean,
park.
he's gonna probably perform for you. But I'm just saying, he's not a starter for me, in my book,
I mean,
and in my
120
ballpark.
Like I said, 128 ERA plus, 3.1 WAR, 141, 5.6, and then
I've got a
just
solid
between me and
bullpen,
the-
and
me
I've
and
got
the Cubs.
great bullpen prospects.
He almost picked up a $200 million deal for a 113 career ERA plus.
Look at his first year, and then look at his upcoming years.
But that's like
No,
you
that's
can make
not
that
fair,
argument.
Will.
I mean, Will,
It's
you,
still money.
it's exactly. It's still
I have
90
so
million,
much available.
but you can spend that on the whole team. you could spend that on a whole team if you wanted to.
Zergen's been doing with the Angels for literally ever. Like, it's the contract value doesn't change. It's still 100 and I'd have to look 191 million. If for 113 ERA plus, I'll stand by that. That's just me. I mean, that's a lot of money for a player that is slightly above average as a starter.
Yeah, but
He's
again,
not above
average.
average. He's a great starter,
If you don't
and I'm
count
going to prove
with-
he's going to be a great starter.
Well, I'm saying even with, let's forget about the moat gate
I
here
can
for a
take
minute, but
Aguilar's
he's
trash
average.
ass out of my rotation, and
average.
put Stevens and Holt in, and that's a solid rotation.
He has averaged, let's see, 8.7, 1.9, 12.7. So he's averaged 4.2 WAR in the last 3 seasons. And that's if you don't count, I mean, you really can't count the AAA one, but let's just throw it out there for the hell of it. That's another 1.2 WAR, so that's like, 4.5 WAR value per year,
But
which is pretty good.
you can't just look at that though. I think that's the trap, and you can also get that same production for so much less money. I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why that's what I mean.
Where else are you going to find a
I'm
pitcher
just
like
saying-
Jeff Holt?
I replaced Holt with Lauren Corbin, and we've talked about him in the main chat too, and Mike was shitting on him the other day. That dude's put up 9 WAR in 3 years at a $507,000. What would I rather have?
Oh yeah, of course.
And you're gonna have to
That's
pay
why
him eventually.
Theoretically, I could have extended.
or he can just
that
trade him or
man.
let him go. You don't have to pay your players. That's what I'm saying. You never have to pay your players unless you want to. You can just trade them. I guarantee you can do it.
Who are you talking to? Me?
That's what I was saying to you. I'm saying like you can trade him, but anyway, he was saying you had to pay this guy once, in 2 years, but you don't if you don't want to. That's my whole point. Is you can take that surplus value and then just go with it. That's what I'm saying. Like you're paying this guy $500K, like that's what you want to be at. Anyway,
Like,
point.
I might as well spend my money somewhere. I had $20 million of player salary for this season before free agency.
That's because you had an export
I
in
could
2.5
go wild.
in 2.5 years. You didn't have a minor
Hey.
league system to spend anybody on or to spend any money on. Will, I know. I watched
I
your
spent
team
$100
forever.
million. Hey man,
Believe me, I've looked into your minor league system a few times, and I know you didn't have any depth to spend money on. So you're getting there. You're catching back
Yeah.
up, but I just don't think that it's there yet.
But at the same
That's all I'm
time, though, Tim. Like
I think on
I
a 75-win season,
what,
75 wins, it's the goal.
what were you at last season? I forget.
66.
I mean, it all depends on how. But you can't just look at your team in isolation, though. You have to think about the rest of the team. I mean, you play in the tougher division. You play those teams more times. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out.
If Holt is back in the 4 months, not the 5, which means he'll be back in July. Yeah, that's doable.
That's with no rehab, though. From a torn UCL, you probably want at least a month. You want probably the max, at least in my opinion. So
I mean, what if he returns in April, May, June, July, August? He gets a rehab assignment. He's not back till September. He spent $90 million on injured player. I mean, he's injured, and I know that, but I'm just saying it.
Well, we do still have
You-
spring training to go through. So March, April, May, June.
Oh,
that's
true,
4
March.
months. So yeah.
July
So,
puts him at the
yeah.
start of August if he decides to go.
Theoretically, August, yeah, couple months. So you're talking 8 to 9 starts. If you really wanted to go 4-man, 10. I don't think you would, but
I'm not going
theoretically, you have
4-man.
9 starts down the stretch.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it.
I also have Davenport that's going to get time next year. and
Dude, he
he's
is
gonna
not
be a
looking
great
as good as
player.
I thought he was.
You think? He's still
Yeah,
got
that
great
curveball is
movement.
not. I don't think that curveball is going to fill.
Which
Personally,
mean,
this is
I
not the
don't think-
Davenport.
24.
Like, he's still going to be a great player. Y'all are sleeping on him.
I mean, his movement's died, hasn't it? Or no?
No, his movement didn't
No,
die.
he always
Really,
been
like
that high?
74 movement is
Ma-
really good.
Oh, I know it's good. I'm just saying yeah.
His curveball's developed. It's just his changeup.
He's not going to be a starter, I think.
I think he could be a
And
starter.
again, the curveball and a righty combo just irks me. But again, another Cincinnati player traded with the fastball curveball mix as a righty.
He
so.
also throws 100 miles an hour, man.
You're right. He does, but he can't throw it accurately. So here comes 5 walks a game.
I mean, to be
Alright,
fair, in AAA, he only
I mean, honestly, look, it is a 46 control. In AAA, he threw 3.8 walks per 9. You're gonna tell me that that's not gonna he's not gonna improve his control from here? It's not gonna go up. I mean, unless he boosts, which none of us know about.
46 control is not the end of the world. If
But
anything,
5 walks a game is.
of the three main attributes for a pitcher, control is probably the least most important.
Hard
are you
disagree.
serious?
Hard.
That's
disagree, Will.
so that no way.
Movement's first, stuff is second.
Stuff is
Control
by
is
far
last.
stuff is by far. You could look at stuff and you don't even need the stuff rating.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
You know
Tim?
that?
What do you mean by that?
Like you can look at the individual pitch ratings, sinker, curve, change. You don't even need that top stuff. You just need to know that. It's not the stuff. It's the pitch ratings that are going to get you, and it goes movement control stuff. And stuff will have its issues, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as a player flawed
I've
with a lack of
seen
control.
low stuff pitchers with the movement and control, and they've let me down every single time.
Well, because it's not just about the pitcher. It's about the
You
defense
realize
behind
your
them at the
ballpark
park.
You have the biggest ballpark in the league, dude. Of course, a high movement and high control player is going to suck for you. You can't hit home runs with the low move guy in there, anyways. You know.
Get some fly ball pitchers and just, tight defense in the outfield.
Yeah. John, do you want to talk
I
about
got one
the Beavers?
dude from Havana. I forget the dude's name. He had 70 movement and 80 control, but he had like 50 stuff, and he used the worst pitcher I've ever had.
Yeah, pitch ratings are a thing.
So let's look
sure.
at this real quick. So if we look at Jorge Chacon, right, from Atlanta, his last name is spelled Chacon. He's a better Davenport. This is the right. Would you guys like that?
Yeah,
With that
he's a
low,
great
with that
player.
47 control, he threw 6.3 walks per 9 in AAA last year. That's gonna be 7 at the MLB level. At least.
Tim,
At least.
I'm not going to argue with you on this. I completely agree.
Wow, his
You know, and
minor league
there's a
gonna be
reason.
a great
There's a
player,
reason
even
Atlanta
with
hasn't
the
brought
walks.
him up yet.
Yeah, 7.4.
I'll trade for him right now.
7.2, 6.9, 6.9, 6.8, 6.7, 6.3, 7.2, 6.5, 6.3.
Yeah, I mean, the
Oh,
dude walks a lot of guys.
7 walks, 9.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
I mean,
Atlanta
I would not
GM, if
expect
you're
Davenport to
listening,
start.
I will trade for him right now.
Well,
Oh, I would probably trade for
Despite
him
the
too, but he wouldn't
slander
start
on
for
this
me.
podcast.
well, while you're cooking up that trade offer, let's talk about the Beavers, John. I want to hear your thoughts on some of your offseason moves and where you see the team.
Well, I mean, late last year, revamping the outfield, helping the defense out there. Hopefully get some offense, because the offense was so weak last year. But having, bringing in Gonzalez, bringing in Holton, and then having Dwyer get third place rookie of the year. First base looks good. Sapiens, bringing him for defense up the middle, along with Kevin Hunt, who, well, he can't hit, but great glove man. I'm just concerned about who I'm going to throw out there for pitching, Mike Pern making us think about getting back into the rotation, even though he decided to completely stop throwing his changeup over the last few years.
Yeah, that
So you just all of a sudden, he had like a 50 or 60 something changeup, and now it's like a 12. So, I have Lamb and a bunch of guys.
Newman's a sick closer, though. That stuff
Right?
is just absurd.
It's far and away, I think, the most stuff. 172 stuff. Then 102 fastball, 122 changeup. Still likes walking his guys, though. So I have him, still have Valdez. I like the bullpen, but the starting, it's Lamb and Prayer. I picked up Ben Benitez because he throws 100 miles an hour. His pitch ratings are decent. Got him cheap. And Pern, he still did okay when I put him back into the rotation, but Hodge was getting knocked around. Juarez was surprisingly good for me. And so the question is, when can I bring up, O'Kennedy? Because it doesn't look like. I mean, he's 24 now, but changeup is only 50 out of 88, and that's what's kind of limiting his stuff.
I mean, in my opinion,
is only 56 out of 72.
this is a guy that needs to be in your 5 spot immediately. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you cannot get that last bit of development until you run a guy through a year. But that's just the way I run it, or like at least put him in the bullpen, because like you leaving a guy in AAA for another year, like what does that do really? That's just my opinion, though.
Stunts his
And
development.
and he's starting to get cranky, So, but I
Promote his
have
ass.
him. Hmm?
Promote his ass. He needs to be
Yeah,
in the
no, I'm
majors. He'd
planning
be
on
your
it.
third best starter immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I have him, and I have Porter that I'm waiting on. Orlando Perez, but he'll be a while down the road. That I picked up from Tim. So I have a couple guys coming, but yeah, with me, I'm worried about it being the starting rotation mostly. Bullpen looks like it's going to be tight. And then it's just I got to sit back and on the Shiraishi watch,
Mm.
and wait to see when I bring him up because he's still probably a year off, maybe 2.
I think he's 2 years off.
I think he's 1 year off.
He was bad in AAA.
I mean, he played 10 games, so it doesn't really matter, in my
Yeah, and
opinion.
then I says, I was like, I don't think he can handle it. Yeah, I bumped him back down to AA. But I mean, he went from rookie minus low rookie to high A ball to AA. And yeah, I mean, I have a feeling, he's going to wind up at either second or third, most likely. Depends on if I keep Williams after this year. Because Williams is almost a platoon guy at third. I was platooning him with Gutierrez, and she couldn't afford to keep them both.
Mm.
Because Williams cannot hit. He had 1 year where he hit lefties. Otherwise, he can't hit lefties at all.
I mean, the ratings are pretty shit. If you're watching along, oof, yeah, that is not a full-time starter.
Right? Because if you look at the lefty stuff, he can't hit lefties, but he hits righties a ton. And the only year he ever was league average was the year he was when he was an MVP candidate, and that was 113. If you look at his OPS pluses, oh my God, 33, 34. Oh, and let's not forget, 2056, he was 16 OPS plus versus lefties.
So, John, if you had to say, do you think is your team in or out of the playoffs this season?
I think with a full year with Holton, Gonzalez, and that better defense up the middle, I think we can be in. Because we have some ground ballers on the staff, and that was, just trying to play Wang at shortstop for those couple of years. It was killing my staff.
I mean, it's
I think that team's going to go as far as Lamb takes it.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I am concerned about the depth just in the rotation. I think that, you're saying you have Lamb and some guys, and that's if no one gets injured. If somebody gets injured, then the question is, okay, who's next? Is it O'Kennedy? Is he ready? I don't know. I think the big thing for me is, like you said, last season it was the offense was the big problem. And it seems like you went more defensive moves, which is a strategy, is a way to go about it. But my question would be, can the offense pick up the slack that it didn't last season with just the new additions and with the players that you did have to lose? So
yeah, because that hurt. I mean, I let Turnbull go because he wanted 20-something million and he was just not producing. So he was out. Lost Williams's left-handed caddy. So But I think the outfield's, I think, going to pick up some of the slack. And, Mauro Martinez rebounded after an iffy year last season. So he hit 30 home runs for the first time. So, he's going to be solid. Ross Marshall, that's going to hurt, even if, yeah, he was kind of, playing at second, but I had a defensive caddy for him. He would have probably been a DH. So letting him go was the one that hurt. So I have to hope, Halton, Gonzalez, full season of them. Dwyer, can he keep up what he did in his rookie year? He was a nice surprise. 108 off OPS plus, played good defense. Got me 2.6 WAR as a rookie.
Absolutely.
16 homers, 21 steals. How will Sapiens do?
Well,
Will he hit it all? Because the contact isn't in.
w-
But
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we got, because we are running a little close to. I feel like an hour max is probably a good length, and I think we'd be remiss not to talk about at least get some quick thoughts on the Mariners, the Athletics, and the Angels, because those are the teams that I feel like have been at least.
I make a statement really quick?
Sure.
I can't name a player on Texas.
Oh, yes. That'll be our game at the end. We will see. If you can name a player, you cannot look at the stream, so you can't look at the screen, and that'll be our closing game. How about that, Will?
All right.
Because I do want to touch on these teams just really quick. I think that just in reading Alex's piece on Jerry Andrews, I think it was a great signing for the Mariners. Like Alex was talking about, he's a guy that has is just very solid across the board. Has that high movement, has that high control that you're looking for, and obviously you're pairing him with the GOAT pitcher in the league, Seti, the beast. He's so good, man. You have a rotation that has those two guys, that has Joe Curry. It's an old rotation, sure, but it's a very good one.
And Seti's like wrecked, but he seems to be the wrecked guy that never gets hurt. Because it's the last 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 10 full years. Only 2 of them he hasn't pitched 200 plus innings.
He is a workhorse, and John, to your point, to dig even deeper, if you look at his injury history, most of those injuries are back spasms, or he's got a few dead arms in there. So things that recur, but things that don't keep him out for anything longer than day to day.
Yeah, and that's it. He tore his rotator cuff very early, and since then, a little forearm inflammation. That's one you got to look out for, the strained forearm, because that can be a precursor to him blowing the UCL. And that's really the only multi-month injury he's had. Other than that, it's a couple weeks here, week there. But yeah, tore his rotator cuff in 43, as a prospect, and nothing really serious.
Since, yeah.
Except for that one forearm range. And I keep waiting for the guy, to get hurt. Because he's my main rival. And Jesus, Seti's got 7 freaking Cy Youngs, so you should just rename the award after him. In the American.
Maybe that'll happen once he retires. And I think we can't, we'll move on from Seattle, but I think you cannot talk about Seattle without at least bringing up their top prospect, Tim Professor Crashaw. He looks like he's about to get called up this season, and he's beast.
He played a full season in 57.
Oh. Wow, I'm looking at that
Wait,
screen.
He did play. I forgot.
He did play, and I totally just spaced on that. But I think he's ready to take the next step, because you look at his ratings, you look at the scouting, and he's come along. He's come a long way, even since the beginning of this year. He's slowly developing, but I think that, he won the Gold Glove in his first season. I was literally looking at the screen.
That would suck if his power didn't fully develop.
I think if he can take the next step, he's their 9 hitter right now, unbelievably. He's just got a lot of good guys that I think that can really support that pitching staff, and he doesn't honestly really even need a good offense in my opinion. He has the pitching to go far, and I think that this is definitely a playoff team, if not a World Series contender, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the A's a little bit, because the A's are. I'm really curious because earlier today, the A's GM was talking about one final move that he was trying to get the cash to make. As you might have saw, he sold his third-round pick for some cash, which Jamie was not very happy about. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a team that has maybe a little bit of weaker pitching than the rest of the AL, but he makes up for it, obviously with just.
Weaker pitching. The dude's got a better staff than I do.
I'm saying weaker pitching than some of the other teams in the AL.
Shit, dude. If he's got weak pitching, then what do I got?
I'm not saying I didn't
like-
say he has weak. I'm saying he has weaker pitching, and we're talking about other
dude.
contenders.
He's
Great
rolling out a
pitching,
70,
man.
a 75 overall starter, a 68 overall starter, a 57 overall starter, a 52, and then after that he's got nothing.
But you can't just look at the overalls, is what I'm saying. I mean, if we're talking
like,
about how
yeah, you
important.
can't, but you can't. But you're also talking about Luis Guzman, who is always been decent. You know, he's always been average.
Mhm.
He could throw a playoff game. I'd throw him in a playoff game. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't. He's got the fastball curve. But that's neither here nor there. Stan Kane's sick, and Randy Ames is Randy.
And they're all righties. They're all righties. That matters, and that
He's
matters.
got one lefty on his whole team.
Yeah.
Like, say what you will, but
Guzman is
Yeah,
fastball
that is an issue though. I didn't see that the lefty, no lefty.
and I mean the fact is low movement probably plays. I mean, low movement plays well here, but it doesn't play well in every single park that the A's play in. So I think that is something that is. All those guys have.
He's still at O.co, my guy. The home runs are non-existent there.
At home. This is what all I'm saying is on the road. I think he's going to have to lean on. I'm saying the A's are a team, but they're a team because of their offense. I don't think the pitching is complete. Is all I'm saying. So I'm interested to see what that next move is. If it's a big
Probably
move,
the
if it's a
best
small
offense in
move.
the AL.
Oh, he definitely
Yeah,
does.
his offense is crazy. And they're all on the right side of 30, too.
Cristobal is also an insane prospect.
Who? Are you talking?
Cristobal, I think he said.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ostros? Yeah, he's clean.
Great.
And,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he's got 3++ pitches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and good, well above average movement, good control, throws 100 miles an hour, and he's a ground baller. You know, no serious, but little platoon split favoring righties, but not serious. So, yeah, he looks crazy good. And it's a 4th round pick, too.
Yeah, I mean,
The only thing that'll limit him is the stamina.
this team should be in the playoffs. I do think the Sox are a little bit more well-rounded, but I think that this, I mean, can out-hit anybody on any given day. And, I mean, when your 3-hitter is Aspden,
Dude,
he's so good.
Hold on. Here's the deal. He has, and I'm just like looking at from a very overall point of view, like overall potential. If you go to his roster and transaction, he's the only team that we've looked at today that has. If you scroll all the way up on his active roster, if you go to his active, scroll all the way up. Or actually, that is his active pretty much. He's the only one where you see all light blue. And all of the light blues aren't relievers. That's the crazy part. Is he's stacked top 3 positions in pretty much his entire lineup.
Yeah.
And a starter.
Yep.
His ceiling's high as shit. And he really what he has to do is go out there and acquire a lefty. I mean, that's inevitable because without a lefty, I mean, he's going to struggle. But
And to some extent, the screwball of Guzman helps, but yeah, he does need at least one straight lefty in the rotation.
But, even if you cleared the relievers from that active roster page, he still has a full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 guys that are light blue, and that's crazy.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I only have 4, not even 5,
Oh.
and they're all relievers too. That's trash.
Believe
I
me,
only
want-
have 2.
it hurts
Nobody
looking
wants-
at that one reliever that I traded to him who has 135 potential stuff.
Right. I got 6 light blues and 4 of them are relievers.
Yeah,
That's,
again,
you know, and he's got like 8 of them. That's crazy. His team's gonna be nasty, guys. You know.
his team's going to be
He's an
nasty, but
easy
it has
playoff
its
lock.
weakness. He's an easy playoff lock, but it's not an easy World Series lock because you cannot win in the playoffs without a diverse pitching staff. It just doesn't work. It doesn't happen. I mean, you can get as far as you're, but if the bats go cold, I mean, I don't know. I know, Tim, you believe in the righties more than I do, but I feel like I've seen too many righties in the American League just get absolutely shelled no matter how good they are because there's too many good lefty bats and they just destroy even the good right-handed pitching. I don't know. I think it is a little bit of a different environment with the DH and with you being able to add basically just an elite. You can put an elite lefty and an elite right-handed bat for basically no cost at any point you want, because there's always those first basemen or those left fielders or right fielders who can't play anywhere else that you can just stick at DH, and it really I think levels the playing field. Because you can attack teams' weaknesses that way. But that's just the way I see it. I mean, obviously this team's going to make the playoffs. This team will probably score the most runs in the AL. I think that'd be a pretty good bet. And it's a stacked team because they also have some guys coming up, the pipeline too. But the Angels, because I feel like we never talk about the Angels because I don't know why. But the Angels are always a fascinating team to me because they always seem to be good and young and never get bad at all. Who are some of the key? I mean, obviously they signed Pate.
Lin Ting.
Mm.
This motherfucker. I've been trying to acquire Lin Ting for at least 10 years.
God.
10 years in game, maybe more.
And I traded him to the Angels one time for a playoff run. Oh, I can't even remember the guy I got either, but yeah, I signed him
It was
international
for-
free agent.
It was for a
11
draft
million-
pick.
Wow.
No. It was I signed it for 11,111,000.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that trade. Yeah.
Yeah, and traded him, brought in some stuff for the playoff run. He picked up some salary, and
He was
And that
he was
guy-
an he was an international complex guy, and he got traded at what was I think it was maybe even 16.
Yeah, we
He
can
was
look at the
so
history.
good coming out as an international.
and we made a deal that he would be transferred at 18
Later.
years old.
Later, yep, I remember that. So
Yeah.
he got transferred actually 2 years after the time. So he actually got transferred in 2041,
Mhm.
I believe, and then he got moved once he turned 18. But I've literally been trying to acquire him ever since Zergen got him. Absolute stud. I mean, Zergen has 2 rings with him. Locking down that second base. I mean, yeah, he's crazy. Lin Ting. Jose Silva's nasty.
He makes me cry because he's just a better Kip. That's all I can say. He's just he's a younger, not fragile.
Isn't Kip a better fielder? Or infielder or outfielder, sorry.
He's slightly better, but Silva with the 98 home run power, I mean, to me that makes up for it. I mean, this guy's been hitting 31 home runs and he's not even maxed out
Does
yet.
he have great
Another
split?
international free agent I missed out on because I didn't come strong enough.
Oh,
on the first
102
offer,
power versus righties. That's insane.
Yeah,
right?
not great against lefties, but honestly, who
He's gonna
cares?
have a field day against Oakland.
100
Say
left,
that much.
100 in left field, 73 in center with an 82 range.
Damn, I hadn't even noticed Keyoung Wan Lee. He did you already talk about him?
Ooh, no, we've not talked about him.
Yeah, I had just noticed him 6 WAR this year. That's a monster season.
I mean, LA just has the quietest players that you're like, oh my god, that guy's a stud, and I've never even heard of him
literally
before.
His international complex, like Samuel Tipping, complex player. Lee, complex player. Ting, traded complex player. Luis Rodriguez, scouting. Augusto Perez, international signing. Jose Silva, international signing. Dave Patton, he was a trade, but still, that's like at least 6 spots in his lineup that is filled up with star international players.
Oh yeah, this is insane. So if you guys can see the stream right now, I filtered it by all batters and then I sorted it by nationality. You can see he has 5 Americans.
Only 5.
Only 5, and the rest are from all over. which is just kind of crazy to me because if you go and do this for your own team, or at least if I do it for my team, it does not look like that because no one builds a team in this kind of way, and I think it's fascinating because it works so well, so consistently. But yeah,
I'm checking mine real quick.
we are getting close to the hour mark, so I think I want to close us with our final game, and the game is can Will guess a single Texas Rangers player. So Will, please, if you're looking at the stream, close out. If not,
I'm not.
Great, even better.
Can you do it?
Can you do it? So
All right.
everybody else, we are all looking at the active roster for the Texas Rangers, and we are going to see if you can name a single one. The floor is yours.
Tim Jansen, a Ranger.
He is not. You can have as many guesses as you like.
Wait, Tim who?
Jansen.
Oh, Tim Jansen. Yeah, I know he's not.
I give up.
There's
Seriously can't.
there's one guy
Let me
who
see,
I
hold
feel
on.
like you might be able to get.
Let's talk about this real quick.
Do you think he could get their center fielder? The center fielder is
Probably their most notable.
he is their most well-known player. To give you a hint, Jeremy has shopped this guy within the past week or two, but said he would only take a massive haul for a guy making $17 million in his walk year. So
I don't know. I give up. I'm looking. Oh, Dan Schaefer, whatever. Yeah, I would have never thought.
wow, so you failed the test. I wonder if anybody listening along at home could pass that. Is there anybody else who you think would fail that test?
I was gonna say do a test for me, but with a different team. I'll stop looking. I want to try.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop watching.
sucks.
Hold on.
No.
All right, my Discord's closed. No, you got this. Come on, quick one.
Let's do Yankees. Name a player on the Yankees.
Steve Green, third baseman rookie.
Wow.
He's coming up this year.
Yeah, he's on the team. And I've got to say, Will, that was so much quicker than you, and it was the right answer.
Sorry. Okay, Will, I embarrassed you. My bad.
I mean, you're the commissioner. You should know everybody on all 30 teams.
Damn.
All
that's
32
a big
teams.
deal.
Come on, man.
32 teams.
Doesn't even know how many teams in the league.
Whatever.
Okay.
Oh, Will.
Well, does anybody have anything
have
else that they want to close on? Because I feel like we got the AL preview done and dusted.
Who's winning the AL this year?
Ooh. Everybody make your prediction. No explanation, just your team.
Chicago.
Tim?
Go ahead, John.
No, I'm gonna say Oakland. I'd like to pick myself, but even though my ego says pick me, and my head says pick Oakland.
I'm gonna have to go with. Oh, this is so tough. Seattle.
Damn, I was gonna pick Seattle. You know what? When the predictions contest come out, I always pick myself, but I'm going to pick the Angels. So there you have it. That is the wrap on the third episode of the PSD podcast. Hope you join us for the next episode. Thank you to all for joining.